Shalom, everyone. This is Brother Jimmy, aka Ambassadors of Yah. In this one episode, I am going to be speaking about the Pre-Trib Rapture. The Pre-Tribulation Rapture, as many of you know, has been a contention in the Christian community. I am not a Christian, but wanted to share this with my Christian brothers and sisters as they're coming out of Christianity into the truth. I would have that you would please follow and see what I'm talking about when it comes to the pre-trib rapture. So, is the pre-tribulation rapture true, yes or no? It's half and half, yes and no. And you'll see what I'm speaking of. So, let's go ahead and begin. So, we're going to go to, and by the way, I'm using the scriptures, TS 2009, for those of you who are interested in what I'm reading out of. I find this to be one of the best translations out there in English. So we're going to go, first of all, to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, we find where Shaul, aka Paul, speaks about this resurrection. Okay? And so let's begin here. And we are going to start at verse 35. So we're in 1 Corinthians. Let me bring this down so you can all see. Have my cradle down here. Okay, so 1 Corinthians, as you can see there, chapter 15. And we are going to go starting at verse, let's see. This would be verse 35. And it says this: "But some might say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? Senseless one. What you sow is not made alive unless it dies. And as to what you sow, you do not sow the body which is to be, but a bare grain. It might be wheat or some other grain. But Elohim gives it a body as he wishes, and to each seed a body of its own. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, and another of fishes, and another of birds. And there are heavenly bodies and earthly bodies, but the esteem of the heavenly body truly one, and the esteem of the earthly is another." Verse 41. "One esteem of the sun, another esteem of the moon, and another esteem of the stars. For star differs from star in esteem. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption. It is sown in disrespect. It is raised in esteem. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. And there is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body." Yours may say natural body and a celestial body. Okay? So, verse 45. "And so it has been written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit." That would be our Messiah, Yahusha. Verse 46. "The spiritual, however, was not first, but the natural, and afterward the spiritual, or the celestial. The first man was of the earth, earthy, and the second man is the master from the Shama, or the heaven. As is the earthly, so also are those who are earthly. And as is the heavenly, so also are those who are heavenly. And as we have borne the likeness of the earthly, we shall also bear the likeness of the heavenly." So now we go into what is very famous in the passages of the so-called pre-tribulation doctrine. "And this I say, brothers, that flesh and blood is unable to inherit the reign or the kingdom of Elohim, the Mighty One. Neither does corruption inherit incorruption. See, I speak a secret to you. Yours may say, I speak a mystery to you. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet." Remember that word there, these two words, the last trumpet. "For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible has to put on incorruption, and this mortal to put on immortality. And when this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal has put on immortality, then shall come to be the word that has been written. Death is swallowed up in overcoming. O death, where is your sting? O Sheol, where is your overcoming? Yours may say victory. And the sting of death is the sin, and the power of the sin is the law, the Torah. But thanks be to Elohim, who gives us the overcoming through our Master Yahusha, the Messiah. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Master, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Master. So that is the one here in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. But I want to have you remember and take note of this. What was said here that I said, remember these two words. This is in verse 52. Remember where it says, at the last trumpet. Okay, so here it says that we shall all not sleep. Okay, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So this right here is what people call the resurrection. It is the resurrection. They also want to include this in the rapture, okay, the so-called pre-tribulation rapture. And so this is one of their passages. Now let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, and we're going to read that one as well. Okay, so we're going to start now this again, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, and we're going to start reading from verse 13. Now, brothers, we do not wish you to be ignorant concerning those who have fallen asleep, lest you be sad as others who have no expectation. For if we believe that Yahusha, the Messiah, died and rose again, so also Elohim, the Mighty One, shall bring with him those who sleep in Yahusha. So who is he going to bring? He is going to bring the Kadashim, also known as the saints. He will bring those who have fallen asleep with himself. Now let's continue. For this we say to you by the word of the Master, that we, the living who are left over at the coming of the Master, shall in no way go before those who are asleep, meaning those who have died in the Messiah. Because the Master himself shall come down from the Shama, from the heaven, with a shout, with the voice of the chief messenger. Yours may say, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet of Elohim. Remember this, trumpet of Elohim. Yours may say trumpet of God. And the dead in the Messiah shall rise first. Then we, the living who are left over, shall be caught up away together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air. And so we shall always be with the Master. So then encourage one another with these words. So the same one who wrote what we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 is the same author here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, okay, which is Shaul, who they have changed his name to Paul. So Paul, in these two, the first one that we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, remember it said at the last trumpet, okay? And here he's speaking of the same event, but this time, instead of calling it at the last trumpet, he says with the trumpet of Elohim. So at the last trumpet and the trumpet of Elohim are one and the same, okay? And I think everyone would agree with that. So now let's start putting this together. So we see that it says that at the trumpet, or at the last trumpet and the trumpet of Elohim. So now let's go to Matthew chapter 24, also known as the Olivet Discourse. And there we read this. Now, Matthew 24, it speaks about, the Messiah speaks about all these things that we're to watch and look for, okay? These signs of the times that are going to happen, right? So we're going to start here. Let's go to verse 15. So when you see the abomination that lays waste, yours may say, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken by the prophet Daniel, set up in a set-apart place, he who reads, let him understand. So this we know is going to be the beginning of the marking of the beast, or what we know as the Great Tribulation. Everyone again in the Pre-Trib Rapture believes that the abomination of desolation is to take place after the so-called church is gone. However, you're going to see, using scripture, that the church is here. Okay, the church is here. All right, so let's continue. So it says here, let him who is on the housetop not come down to take whatever out of his house or her house, and let them who are in the field not turn back to get their garments. And woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing children in those days. And pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Sabbath. So we see here that there is still a Sabbath keeping going on, even though Christianity teaches that there is no longer a Sabbath and that is only pertaining to the so-called Jews. All right, but that's neither here nor there. Let's continue. Verse 21, for then, notice, first we're talking about fleeing because of the abomination of desolation, but then it goes on and says, for then there shall be great distress. Yours may say, for then there shall be great tribulation, such has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen one, yours may say, for the sake of the elect, those days should be shortened or shall be shortened. So then if anyone says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there, do not believe. For false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. See, I have forewarned you. So if they say to you, look, he is in the desert, do not go out. Or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For wherever the dead body is, there the vultures shall be gathered together. Now notice what verse 29 says. And immediately after the distress of those days, yours would say, and immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. Notice when this happens. It happens when the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. That will let you know that the tribulation is now over. These are the signs, these three. The sun, moon, and the stars will not be giving its light. This is at the end of the great tribulation. And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then, notice that, and then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the Shama, in the heaven. And then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. And they shall see the Son of Adam coming. This is his second coming. Okay? Coming on the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers, yours to say angels, with a great sound of a trumpet. Notice here again, we hear about a trumpet. And they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. So again, we see here that out of the mouth of our Messiah, he's telling us when the end shall be, when he is going to gather his people. This is going to happen after. Notice it said here again in verse 29, and immediately after the distress of those days. Again, yours will say after the tribulation of those days. And remember, the tribulation started up here in verse 21. For then there shall be great distress or great tribulation. Okay, nobody's leaving here. He would have said something right in this area that you would be gone, but you're not. So the great distress, the great tribulation has begun. And it says, and there will be no lives saved lest he has shortened those days. But he did it before because of the chosen ones, for the elect ones, the saints, the Kadashim. Okay. And so immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun is going to be darkened. The moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. This is going to let you know that the tribulation is now over. It is now over. And so we read about how now we will see the sign. We will all see this sign in the heaven of the Son of Adam coming out of heaven and coming towards the earth. And this is when all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. And we shall see him sitting on the clouds. And he's going to send his messengers, his angels, to the four corners of the earth, or the four winds of the earth, and they're going to gather up his people, gather together his chosen ones. Okay? This is not the so-called Jewish people. This is talking about those who believe in the Messiah and who keep his commandments. And it's going to be at the time of the great sound of this trumpet. This is the same trumpet that I told you to remember what Shaul was speaking of in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Again, what did he say there? Right there, verse 52. He says, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. This is the moment at the last trumpet. Same thing that we read here. Again, he wrote in Thessalonians to the Thessalonican church. Okay, and what did he say there? He said here in chapter 4, right here, and with the trumpet of Elohim, the dead in the Messiah shall rise first. This is the resurrection. This is that time immediately after the tribulation of those days that we read in Matthew chapter 24. Okay, he will gather his elect from the four winds of the earth. This is that time. The same trumpet of Elohim. This is the last trumpet. But now, let's take it even further to show you that it all lines up with the book of Revelation. So first of all, let me show you in Revelation chapter 6. Notice here, this is Revelation chapter 6, and it speaks about in this fifth seal. This is the great tribulation going on right here. And when he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the slaughter place the beings of those who had been slain for the word of Elohim and for the witness which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Master, set apart and true, until you judge and avenge our blood, that is the saints' blood, the Kodashim's blood, and on those who dwell on the earth? And there was given to each one a white robe. And they were told that they should rest a little while longer, until both the number of their fellow servants and their brethren who would be killed as they were was completed. This is during the great tribulation. This is the fifth seal. Okay, we're being unalive for not taking the mark. All right, no rapture here, but I'll show you when this starts happening. Notice here, this sixth seal. And I looked when he opened the sixth seal and saw a great earthquake came to be, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair. Remember that? And the moon became as blood. Remember that? Matthew 24. And the stars of the Shama of the heaven fell to the earth. Remember reading that? As the fig tree drops in the unripe figs, being shaken by a strong wind. And the heaven departed like a scroll, being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. Why was it moved? Why was this great earthquake happening? Because the Messiah is about to come. And so notice it says here, and the sovereigns of the earth, and the great ones, and the rich ones, and the commanders, and the mighty, and every slave, and every free one, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him sitting on the throne. Singular, one throne, not a three throne. There's no Trinity here. This is one throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. Notice it says the wrath of the Lamb, because the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? We have not been given over to the wrath of Elohim. This is why we know at the end of the great tribulation, then the wrath of the Lamb, or the wrath of Elohim, begins. And we have not been appointed to this wrath. Not the great tribulation. The great tribulation we have been appointed to. That is the time of testing. It's the time of trial. It's the time of cleansing the body, the Messiah, the bride of the Mashiach, that we are to be without any spot, wrinkle, or blemish. How does that happen? You got to go through the fire, baby. You got to be tried. You got to see if you're pure. And the only way you're going to go through that is you have to be tried. That's the only way you're going to get there. And so this wrath is not meant for us. We're going to be taken up before this happens. And this is why we're seeing those signs of the sun, moon, and the stars not giving its light. Just like what we read in Matthew chapter 24. Again, let me take you there. So here we see again Matthew 24. Let me read that to you. As we just got done reading this passage, let me put my marker here so I don't forget where I'm at. But notice again, Matthew chapter 24, And we're going to start reading here in verse 29. Remember what we just read, the sixth seal, about how the sun, moon, and the stars were not showing their light. Okay, verse 29. And immediately after the distress of those days, or the great tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened. There it is. And the moon shall not give its light. There it is. And the stars shall fall from heaven. Again, there it is. And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Now, this is what we didn't see in Revelation chapter 6. We're getting the blanks filled in here in Matthew 24. And then the sign of the son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. Okay, and they shall see the son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heavens, and with the power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with the great sound of the trumpet. Here goes the here goes the rapture. Okay, not a pre-tribulation rapture, but a post-tribulation rapture. Remember, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the distress of those days. So this is after the tribulation that he sends this great sound of a trumpet, which is the same trumpet that we just read in in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Again, what did it say there? It said here that it would be at the last trumpet, right? Verse 52. It says, and in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. This is the resurrection. This is the first resurrection. And those of us who are still alive, we shall be changed in a twinkling of an eye. Okay, because here, this is what he says in verse 51. See, I speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep, meaning that we shall not all die, but we shall be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, meaning as fast as you can blink your eye, your body will have changed. Not that you'll be gone in a twinkling of an eye, but your body shall change in a twinkling of an eye, and then we shall be caught up together. Okay, but this will all happen at the last trumpet. It is at the last trumpet that this happened, which is the same trumpet that we read in Matthew chapter 24, and also in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, where it speaks about the trumpet of Elohim. And so here in Revelation 6, we didn't see anything about the trumpet, at least not yet. We're going to read about it. Okay, but let's continue. Remember, it was talking about how there was one who was sitting on the clouds of the Shamaim, of the heavens, and he was coming, right? So again, let's read here. If there's a last trumpet, where do we find these trumpets? Where's the first trumpet? Where's the second trumpet? Where is the last trumpet? So if we go to Revelation, starting in chapter 8, okay, Revelation 8, we see here, it talks about in verse 2, I saw the seven messengers, or the angels, who stand before Elohim, the mighty one, and to them were given seven trumpets. So the one we want to read is the last trumpet. So if there's seven trumpets, then that means the last trumpet would be the seventh trumpet. The seventh trumpet is found in Revelation chapter 11 and starting at verse 15. Okay, notice what it says here. And the seventh messenger sounded, and there came to be loud voices in the heaven, saying, the reign or the kingdom of this world has become the reign or the kingdom of our master and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders sitting before Elohim on their thrones, the 24 thrones, fell on their faces and worshipped Elohim, which is the mighty one. And what did they say? They said, we give thanks, to Yahuwah Al Shaddai, meaning the Almighty in Hebrew, the one who is and who was and who is coming. Again, speaking of the Messiah, the Son, the one who is, meaning he's alive, the one who was, meaning that he was put to death and he was brought back to life, and who is coming. This is his second coming, because you have taken your great power and reigned, and the nations were enraged, and your wrath has come. Remember, we just read about your wrath coming in Revelation chapter 6 at the sixth seal. This is that same wrath that it's talking about. The book of Revelation is layered. It's not all in sequential order. It has what I call sequences. There are 8 sequences in the book of Revelation. And we're speaking of the third sequence here, which is the trumpet. So it says, and your wrath has come, and the time of the dead to be judged. Well, how can the dead be judged unless they're resurrected? This lines up with what Paul was saying. This is the last trumpet, and to give the reward to your servants, the prophets, and the set apart ones, that's you and me, the saints, the Kodashim, and to those who fear your name, small and great, and to destroy those who destroy the earth. That is the wrath of Yah. Okay? So here we see that the last trumpet does give us a description of what we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 about this mystery, this secret that Shaul or Paul was speaking of, that we shall be changed in a twinkling of an eye at the last trumpet. This is when the dead are raised in the Messiah. Same thing in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 when he says that he shall descend with what? The trumpet of Elohim. Okay, and remember, in Matthew chapter 24, the Messiah himself said immediately after the tribulation of those days that he would send out his messengers, his angels, to the four corners of the earth, and he will give the trumpet of Elohim to be sounded, so that they shall gather the elect or the chosen ones from the four winds of the earth. Okay, and so we see here in the seventh sounding of the seventh horn or the seventh trumpet, okay, that we see that this is the last trumpet. This is the time that the dead should be judged. This is the first resurrection. The only way the dead can be judged is that they have to be resurrected. So this coincides with those passages. So now you see why Paul or Shaul says the last trumpet. For you to believe that that is something else and is speaking of another trumpet, you are deceiving yourself. It is very clear and very evident. We haven't been taught this in Christianity. These pastors, preachers, and teachers, and these so-called eschatologists who study end-time events can't seem to figure this out for some reason. But again, here it is, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, that's the seventh trumpet in the book of Revelation. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. This is again that passage, Revelation chapter 11, verse 18. And it says what? And the nations were enraged, and your wrath has come, and the time of the dead, there's the first resurrection, to be judged. This means that this last trumpet is the seventh trumpet, and here it is that they are being resurrected from the dead. They are going to put on incorruption. They have to take off their corruption and put on their incorruption. Take off their mortal and put on immortality. It all lines up, family. It all lines up. To say otherwise is, again, to deceive yourself, and you're not wanting to hear the truth of this matter. Now, here's another one. This is in another part of the other sequence of the book of Revelation. Now we're in chapter 14, verse 14. Notice what it says here. And I looked and saw a white cloud. A white cloud? Okay. What's on this white cloud? And sitting on the cloud was one. Notice the word one is capitalized. It lets you know right there that it's speaking of a deified figure. This is our Messiah, Yahusha, one like the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out of the dwelling place, crying with a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud, send your sickle and reap, because the hour has come for you to reap, because the harvest of the earth is ripe. And so it says, verse 16, and the one sitting on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. This again is speaking of the rapture. Okay. This is the post-tribulation rapture. This is to gather the saints, the Kodashim, from the four winds of the earth. Notice that there is another sharp sickle. This does not have to do with us. Notice what it says. And another messenger came out of the dwelling place, which is in the Shama, in the heaven, and he too held a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out from the slaughter place, having authority over the fire, and he cried with a loud cry to him having this sharp sickle, saying, send your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, because her grapes are ripe. And the messenger thrust in his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of Elohim. Notice it says the wrath of Elohim. Again, remember I was saying that we have not been appointed to the wrath of Elohim. We were already taken in this, harvest. Okay, that it was time to gather the harvest. And so we were part of this first harvest. Okay, the harvest of the earth is ripe, right? This one was not thrown into this great crusher, if you will. But this one, it was thrown into the winepress. Okay, and it says, and they were thrown into the winepress of the wrath of Elohim, and the winepress was trodden outside the city, and the blood of that and the blood came out of that winepress up to the bridle of a horse, for about 1,600 stadia. That's about 200 miles in length. At the height of the mouth of a horse is all blood. This is symbolic of what is going to happen at the battle at Armageddon. Because remember, they have gathered themselves together for that great day of war in the place called Armageddon. Okay, and that is that place right here, Revelation chapter 16. And you can start reading that here in verse 14. For they are spirits of demons doing signs, which go out to the sovereigns or the kings of the entire world to gather them to the battle that great day of Yahuwah the Almighty. See, I am coming as a thief. Baruch is he or she who is staying awake and guarding their garments, lest they walk naked and they see their shame. And it says, and they gathered them together. Gathered what together? These militaries, the battle that is about to happen of these sovereigns of the earth. Okay, they're going to come to this place called in Hebrew Har Megiddo, which means Mount Megiddo. All right, Har is mountain or mount. Megiddo is the name of this place. And so that is the battle at Armageddon. But to speak of what we're speaking about here is that the rapture is at the end and not the beginning. Now, remember I was saying, is there a pre-trib rapture? Yes or no? Yes, there is. But it does not have to do with the body, the majority of the body of the Messiah. Okay. The pre-trib rapture is for those who are of the 144,000. The 144,000 are the cream of the crop. They are the first to go. They are the ones that have been promised that they shall not be here during that time. So to go through that very quickly, let me show you this. So here it speaks about these 7,000, or excuse me, in Revelation chapter 7 is why I said 7,000. Revelation chapter 7, it speaks about numbering those who are going to be the 144,000. Okay, so it talks about here, and after this, I saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that with the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 messengers to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the tree, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim, our mighty one, upon their foreheads. And it says, and I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000, sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Yasharal. And so you have 12 tribes, 12,000 from each one gives you 144,000. Well, we're told that these 144,000 have been promised to be kept from that hour of trial. So let's go to Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3, where it talks about the assembly of Philadelphia, and that would be chapter 3, verse 7, and it says, and the messenger of the assembly in Philadelphia write, he who is set apart, he who is true, he who has the key of David, that is David, and he who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens. I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one is able to shut it. That you have little power, yet have guarded my word, and have not denied my name. Denied my name. They have not denied his name. What is his name? His name is Yahusha, not Jesus, Yahusha. See, I am giving up those of the congregation of Satan who say that they are Yahudim, or say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. This is speaking of those that have those curly locks on the sides of their heads, that are dwelling in the place that they have renamed Israel and call themselves Jews. And they're saying that they are Jewish. Okay, these are not the people of the book. These are imposters. They became converts. They are your Ashkenazi Jews, your Sephardic Jews. They are not the ones that Yah had made in a contract agreement with on Mount Sinai with the children of Yasharal, also known as Israel. These are liars, and he's letting you know that they are liars because they're the same ones who was running your banks, the same ones who are running your entertainment system, the same ones who are running our entertainment groups. They're the same ones who are running your banks and your government. I think I've already said banks, so your financial institution, your government institution, your entertainment institution, and many of the other institutions on this earth are ran by these people calling themselves Jews. But that's a whole nother topic. But let's continue on with this 144,000. So it says, see, I am making them come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you. Because you have guarded my word of endurance, I also shall guard you, or to say keep you, from the hour of trial, that is the great tribulation, which shall come upon all the world to try, that is to test those who dwell on the earth. Okay, so they have been promised that they shall not be here. This isn't for the Christian. This is for the 144,000. The Christian has to come out of Christianity, as it says in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. But again, that is a whole nother lesson for a whole nother time. So know that you have to come up out of Christianity, come out of her, my people. Do not share in her plagues. This is going to be that time of trial that shall come upon the whole world, because you will not listen to this doctrine. You will not heed the word when he says, if you love me, keep my commandments, which the law has not been done away with. And so this is why this is happening right now. Okay, so here it is that we are having to find out that these people are not the true Jews, but the true Jews and the true 144,000, which is of every tribe, not just the tribe of Yehuda or Judah, but all 12 tribes. Remember, 12,000 from each tribe makes 144,000. They shall be kept from this hour of trial that shall come upon the whole world. Our Messiah said the same thing in Luke chapter 21. Let me take you there and show you what he said. Okay, Luke chapter 21. So it says here, let me back up. It says, take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down by gluttony and drunkenness and worries of this life, and that day come on you suddenly, speaking of the great tribulation. For it shall come as a snare on all those dwelling on the face of all the earth. Now, we just read passages about how this is going to come when nobody's expecting it. It's just going to hit. Remember in 1 Thessalonians, if you've never read it, it says there in chapter 5 that when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as a woman who is pregnant in labor. Okay, same thing here, that this is going to happen and it's going to take place suddenly. Okay, for it shall come as a snare on all those dwelling on the face of all the earth. This is that great tribulation time. Watch then at all times and pray that you are counted. Pray that you are counted, meaning pray that you are counted to be one of the 144,000, counted to be one of the 144, worthy to escape all this that is about to take place and to stand before the Son of Adam. Remember that it's talking about the 144,000, what we read in Revelation chapter 3 about the assembly of Philadelphia, and that they have been promised to be kept from the hour of trial that shall come upon the whole world to test those who are dwelling upon the earth. This is that same exact time that the Messiah is talking about here. Okay, now remember he says that watch then at all times and pray that you may be counted worthy to escape all this that is about to take place and to stand before the Son of Adam. Well, where can we find that? Well, let me show you where the 144,000 is standing before the Son of Adam, that they have been taken, that they have been rescued, that they have been kept from that hour of trial that shall come upon the whole world. This is Revelation chapter 14. Notice what it says here. And I looked and saw a lamb standing. Remember that you may stand with the Son of Adam. I saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion. What is Mount Zion? Mount Zion is that place that has been given where we are told is heaven. All right. And it says, and with him, with who? With the lamb who is standing on Mount Zion, 144,000 having their father's name written on their foreheads. So the 144,000 have been taken. How do we know this? Notice what it says here. It says here that these are those who were not defiled with women. That is not talking about physical women. It's talking about religions, mindsets, those things that we have been taught, like Christianity, the Roman doctrine. That is a defilement of us by believing not in the truth, but in the lie. Okay. And for they are virgins, they are maidens, meaning that they are pure, they are clean. They are the 5 wise virgins, as we read in Matthew chapter 25. You can read about the 5 wise virgins there, and unlike the 5 foolish virgins, which are also there. But notice what it says. These are those who follow the Lamb wherever he leads them on. So again, the 144,000 hear his voice, and the sheep follow the shepherd. They were redeemed from among men, meaning that they have been taken from people, being first fruits, not last fruits. They are the first fruits unto Elohim and unto the Lamb. So they are the ones who are leaving first. They are taken before anyone else. And it says, and in their mouth was found no falsehood or no lies. That means that they have cleaned their mouth of all these pagan names and titles. So they are blameless before the throne of Elohim. Okay. And so these are the 144,000. They are the ones that are going to be taken before the tribulation. So this is why I said there is a pre-trib, but it's not for you unless you are one of the 144,000 household, not individuals, but household. Again, to learn more about that, see my, I don't want to say teaching, but see my message, I guess you would say, of how I explain about the 144,000 being 144,000 households, which you'll be able to find on this channel. Okay. So I hope that helped you to understand that the so-called church, which you can't be a church anymore because there is no church gate in New Jerusalem. You have to become Israel. You have to become Yasharal. You have to become part of the commonwealth of Yasharal. You are not to be a Christian. There is no such thing as a Christian gate. The Messiah did not come to give us Christianity. Rome gave us Christianity, hence with all the Roman doctrine, and also giving us a Greek deity named Zeus, who we call Jesus, as our Spanish brothers and sisters pronounce Jesus, okay, which is Zeus of the Greek pantheon. Our New Testament was translated into the Greek. That's the only manuscripts that we have left, except for the book of Matthew that we still have in Hebrew. But all the rest of the books are all in Greek. Hence why we have a Greek understanding with a Roman concept. This doesn't work because our Messiah was Hebrew from the tribe of Israel. He was from the tribe of Judah, who was an Israelite. Okay, so you have to have a Hebrew mindset to understand the Hebrew doctrine, and not a Roman mindset with the Roman doctrine. And this is why we're so lost and confused when it comes to keeping the commandments, because Rome says we don't have to keep the commandments, and yet in Scripture the Messiah says we are to keep his commandments. Okay, if you love me, keep my commandments, right? So this is why we find this in Revelation chapter 12, where it says that, and the dragon, which we know is Satan, was enraged with the woman, which is also the 144,000. And he, meaning Satan, went to fight with the remnant of her, the 144,000 seed, because the 144,000, even to this very moment, is proselytizing. They're going out and they're teaching the truth. That's what proselytize means, to go out, that they're sharing, they're evangelizing. Okay, they're sharing the word. They're going out there and they're telling people about the truth, about the name, about keeping the commandments. And so he's going after the remnant of her seed, those who are keeping or guarding the commandments of Elohim. Yours would say the commandments of God. And possessing, yours would say testimony instead of witness, of Yahusha, the Messiah. So you have to have the Old Testament, which is the commandment of Elohim, and the witness of Yahusha, which is the New Testament. So you got to be a total believer in Scripture from Genesis to Revelation, not just Matthew to Revelation only, or just only Genesis to Malachi only. No, you have to have both, the old and the new. That makes you a complete believer. And that's who he is going after. If you're just believing that you are a New Testament church, Satan ain't coming after you. If you believe not in the New Testament and you only believe in the law, Satan isn't coming after you either. He's coming after those of us who are keeping the commandments of Elohim and possessing the witness of the Messiah. Don't you see it? As plain as day right here. This is the great tribulation. This is when he comes. So the 144,000, which is the woman, she shall be taken into the wilderness where she is placed and prepared for her for 1,260 days. That's what we was just reading here in Revelation chapter 14. They were taken. They are no longer here. They are the first fruits unto Elohim. They are the ones who were taken as first fruits. They are not here. They have been redeemed from the earth. Notice what it says here. The 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth, meaning that they're not on the earth anymore. Where are they at? They're at Mount Zion. This is your rapture, the pre-trib rapture, and it's only for the 144,000. They will be standing on Mount Zion, which is in heaven. This is why Satan cannot find them, and he goes after her seed, the 144,000 seed, which is us, those that didn't make the first fruits, who keep the commandments of Elohim and who have the witness of Yahusha the Messiah. So I hope this helped you in the understanding that there is no pre-trib rapture for the majority of us. It's only for the 144,000 and their household. But the rest of us, if we are unalive during this time called the Great Tribulation by the taking off of our heads, or if we are alive at the time when he cracks the sky, regardless, one way or the other, as long as we are faithful to him unto death, unto unaliving, we shall be resurrected into our new bodies, and we shall live and dwell with him for all eternity. Hallelujah. So again, I hope this message has helped you in the understanding of what is the pre-trib rapture, what is the post-trib rapture, who is in the pre-trib rapture, and who is in the post-trib rapture. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me, leave comments below. Please like and share and follow. And I thank you for all of you who are listening to this message. May Yahuwah keep you, may he baruch you, and may he continue to allow his light to shine upon you. My name is Brother Jimmy, aka Ambassadors of Yah, signing out. Shalom until next time.